Before I went to Syria, everybody told me that it is very dangerous, the headlines discouraging me from going, and to be honest, my own hesitation also because of my preconception about Syria. But what I saw was totally different from what I've expected. The place is beautiful, the people are warm, the streets are lively, the well-preserved ruins, the magnificent mosques, and the beautiful church. And I have to say that the most amazing experience that I had over there was actually the warmth and hospitality of the people. They do not have much, yet they are so generous and kind, which is really surprising to me. So while we are walking on the streets, there are people who are asking us for selfies, taking Wi-Fi with us, saying welcome to Syria. And there are moments of generosity that I have never experienced in any developed countries. So to give you a few examples, there were some moments that we went to a toilet in a restaurant. So usually if you go to a restaurant and use their toilet without eating anything, you try to order some food or drinks as a reciprocity. But however, when we wanted to pay for the drinks, they actually refused our payment and say that welcome to Syria and this is the treat on them. And there is also a moment in time when we were walking past a street vendor. He was selling something like bread and bread dipped with chili oil or something. I'm not too sure what exactly it is. And there is a group of us, which is 12 of us. And he said that, welcome to Syria. And he offered to give every one of us a free treat. And come on, these are people who are just recovering from civil war. They might not have much, but their heart is so generous. And one more unique experience that I can think of was this. While we were walking the streets during the night, and we actually walked by some family who are having their dinner. And while having all our meals in Syria, we have never seen anyone eating fish. And the restaurants, generally, I also didn't remember I saw any fish on the menu. So when we saw this family having fish during their dinner time along the streets, we were like saying, wow. And what happened next surprised me. They offered to share their dinner with us, and suddenly they just cut off a piece of the fish and shared it with us, and suddenly we were having dinner along with them while on the streets. Did something like this happen to me at any moment of my travels before? I can frankly tell you it didn't happen before. This was the first time, and I can tell you that it is a very beautiful experience. So I've went to 35 countries, but I have never seen people who have shown so much generosity and so much warmth. They were not trying to sell us anything, because when they were coming up to us saying welcome to Syria, trying to strike up small talks with us, the first thought of my mind was thinking, oh, are they trying to sell us something? Because that is always the concept that we have when somebody who is a stranger come up to us. But the thing is, they are not trying to sell us anything. They were just very happy that we visited their country and truly welcomed us from the heart. And this really warmed my heart. And there were some other interesting things that I saw. As a finance YouTuber, if I can say that, I always try to notice things about the economics, about money, whenever I travel. So this time around, I saw inflation up close. What happened when the value of money dropped drastically? So over there in Syria, we have to carry like the whole stack of cash. Because what happened over there is inflation really caused their currency to be depreciated by quite a fair bit. And every 10,000 worth of cash in Syrian pound is actually only about $1.20 Sing dollar. That itself will be about 90 cents to $1 US dollar. So whenever we want to pay for bills in the restaurant, or maybe like there was a moment we went to a club. Can you believe that there's a club in Syria? I never thought that I would see that scene. So trying to pay bills during the moment is always a hassle, because you have to take out the stack of currency, trying to count everything on the spot. But luckily our tour guide taught us how to count Syrian dollars, and there's a matter of counting cash fast, or else you would have struggled. I've already forgot how I use cash in Singapore, because most of the time in Singapore, and I would say maybe for a few years already, after the COVID situation, everybody is using PayNow, credit cards, everything is cashless. So handling that stack of cash is pretty crazy experience to me. So the second thing is actually because I think Syria is a sanctioned country, there isn't any credit cards usage. Hence, we really have to just prepare a stack of cash, putting the cash in bags, carrying it along. So payment itself is actually pretty inconvenient. There was also this moment when we wanted to go and purchase a SIM card for the data usage in Syria. But I would say that the data is pretty unreliable. has infrastructure might not be as good. So sometimes we take it for granted for the fast internet that we have in Singapore. But over there in Syria, I was struggling with the 3G data. Sometimes it loads, sometimes it doesn't. And it also actually forced me to take a step back to really focus on experiencing the country. But that SIM card itself actually cost $32 US dollars, which is pretty expensive. So we used the SIM card for 8 days of our trip. And I think I have quite a fair bit of data left over because most of the time the data just doesn't load. And passports, we were having a conversation with a group of students, and I was also asking the tour guide, how much does it cost to make a passport in Syria? So if I remember my facts right, I was told that making a Syrian passport costs about 600 US dollars, and for their median salary in Syria, I think that might be pretty challenging for them because it costs a lot of money. And at the same time, if let's say they were to apply for a visa is very expensive for them too. And ultimately, when you apply for a visa to visit another country, it is also subject to their approval. So there might be a chance that you have been paying quite a fair bit of money for traveling, but in the end, you actually got rejected. So can you imagine if let's say it costs about 500-600 US dollar to apply for a visa and they got rejected, and if the median salary is about like 400 to 500 US dollar, that would be actually a pretty big hit to their finances. So for Singaporeans holding a Singapore passport, I think it costs us less than 100 Sing dollar to make a passport. That would be about 76 US dollars. And for us to be able to travel to most of the countries visa free, that is definitely a privilege. So there are some lessons over here that I learned after my visit to Syria. There are so many things that I've taken it for granted in Singapore, like the clean air, the clean running water, no power outages. Power outages is pretty common in Syria. The reliable internet, all these are things that we think that it is very normal. And whenever you visited countries that does not have reliable clean water, or maybe clean air, good passport, reliable electricity, or even the internet, you start to appreciate small things like this. So after visiting Syria, I was also reminded about a lesson on investing. Most of the time when I ask students why have they not started investing, and the common few things always pop up. They find that it's very dangerous, it's very complex, they are not familiar with it, they do not have time, they find that it's overwhelming, too much information. So just like visiting Syria, when we have a distance from what we fear, we tend to fear it even more. But whenever we took the steps to get closer to it, instead of observing it from a distance, sometimes things are more manageable in that manner. And just like visiting Syria, the fear is actually louder than the reality. So I realized from this trip, most of the fear didn't come from my own experience because I have never visited Syria. But it was mostly from news, people asking me, friends asking me, why are you even visiting this country? Why are you going there? And whenever there's some situation about Syria, they will always send the news to me. And whenever I read news about Syria, it was always not the very pleasant news. But the moment when I was there myself, observing everything changed. And that is actually how investing works also. Most people fear about investing because they do not study it. They are not close enough to observe it. And they are only fearful because they heard about all the horror stories. But you have to remember, only scary stories sell. Good news doesn't sell well on the newspaper. Hence, most people don't suffer from danger. They suffer from fear. And fear keeps people stuck. And it prevents you from learning and from building your own freedom. So sometimes when things look dangerous from afar, you might want to consider to observe it slightly closer to see the reality for yourself. So coming back to my Syria example, if I were to observe Syria from afar, I would have missed everything. And if I were to judge investing just by the negative news, I would never build wealth. So I hope that you enjoy my story from Syria and some of the B-rolls that I've caught. And I hope that today's video also allows you to broaden your mind, travel a bit more, invest a bit more, and experience a bit more out of what the world could offer to you. And that will be all for today's video. And if you enjoy videos like this, do hit on the like and subscribe button so that more videos like this can be recommended to you. So I'll see you soon in the next video.